Hello everyone, my name is Wayne.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we are your Bourbon Journey. So before us, we have a bottle that we actually picked up the day after Christmas. We decided to go ahead and head out to Bardstown for a couple days, spend a little time out there because I love Christmas decorations. I love how they decorate the city.
Oh, it's beautiful. Bardstown Main Street is amazing.
So we drove first to Preservation, and we walked in and they still had one of the Bardstown Collections, Preservation. We heard it was a really good one, and we went ahead and tried it. We kind of liked it, and we've decided to go ahead and do a tasting.
Yeah, we were pretty excited because last year, I guess not last year now, I guess it would be 2023 for the Bardstown Collection. We went all in and did a mint and julep tour and got every single release that year. This year, that wasn't really possible for us for a variety of reasons. So we lucked into a bottle from Limestone Branch in September when we were there. And then to get this one in December, I felt like we were really fortunate to get two of these very special release bottles. So let's talk a little bit about this particular bottle. So Preservation, if you're not familiar with them, is a small distillery in Bardstown. This one is actually aged 9 years and at a proof of 114.8. So this one is specifically a cask strength blend of their own wheated pot still Kentucky bourbon, which has just recently been released. And they had 3 barrels of that, and they layered liquid from some of their most precious vintage Kentucky casks of 1 barrel. So it's kind of a 3-to-1 ratio of their wheated versus a more aged barrel that they had from their collection. I had a very small taste that day at the distillery, and I'm really looking forward to diving into it.
I am really curious now to really get a serious taste of it.
Let's dive into this and look at the color. You can tell this is like a lot of 9-year-old stuff.
It's dark.
And that extra vintage barrel is probably 20 years old. On average, they're about 20 years old. So this is crazy dark. I'm seeing some nice legs forming. Let's check out the aromas. Well, I'm getting oak right away. It's got some oak notes up front.
I am getting a butterscotchy smell.
Yeah, and you can tell that the dominant bourbon is a wheated bourbon, because I'm getting some wheated bourbon notes here.
There's a lot of really good sweetness and a lot of age.
And a lot of pastry notes, which I love. That's one of my favorite things. A lot of people don't like wheated bourbons because it might be too sweet. But it's one of those times that the pastry piece that you're getting kind of confectionery sugars on it. And this, because things were so aged, between the 9-year-old pot still of theirs and that probably 20 plus year of the very vintage barrel, this has got some massive age. And look at those legs just hanging there. I'm going to have to dive in for a taste. How about you? Cheers.
Cheers.
To the Bardstown Collection.
Bardstown Collection.
Oh my goodness. This is better than I remember that day.
You can tell it's wheat.
And you can tell it's old. It has got some age on it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like it's so mature and complex, and these really nice oaky notes are coming through.
It's sort of a new dusty bottle.
Right?
It
it's
has
kind of weird
some of
that
those.
way.
It has, look over the side over there. We have a 84 Wild Turkey and a couple of others that sort of have that. There's that, hard to describe, but those of you that drink it and like the vintage bottles would get what we're saying with that.
I'm just going to have another taste to really dig on it. Yeah, I'm getting some of that butterscotch note you had on the nose.
I'm getting wood from the barrel.
Oh, it's kind of luscious. It teeters between butterscotch candy and a really rich kind of cinnamon Danish.
And it finishes cinnamon, but it's not really hot.
But it's almost 115 proof, which is kind of crazy.
But you can pick up the barrel
So I'm getting light pepper, but they did not disclose what that vintage barrel was. So it could have been a wheater. It's hard to say. It's very, like Wayne said, not a heavy pepper, not heavy spice, but it's just got a little tingle almost. It's almost effervescence in the throat. It's lovely.
And supposedly this was one of the more popular releases of the Bardstown Collection.
It was also one of the more expensive ones. They were all around $200 as the common denominator. I know that Jim Beam's was a little higher this year, but they had their oldest release ever. It had some 20-year-old in it. This one was, I don't think I mentioned it before, was $265. So, you know, collecting up on the Bardstown stuff, you're not going to get off cheap with it, but you just know they always pick their very special barrels that they want to go into these bottles. We learned a lot about it in 2023 when we did the entire special tour, and every distillery wanted to talk about why theirs was so special. And it's a really special event, and it usually takes place in June. So if it's something you're interested in, put that on your calendar.
And a couple of the places that we did go to that we know had releases of this did not have it.
100% sold out. 100%.
Yeah, Beam not available.
That was quickly not available.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
It's sold out almost immediately. Now they always hold some back. I'll just do a little plug, no commission here or anything, with Mint Julep, because they typically, I don't know if they'll do it again in 2025, but that collection, they held back enough for X number of tours with Mint Julep to guarantee that we had the opportunity, we were not required, but we had the opportunity to buy a bottle each from each of the distilleries. So they have some of those agreements with certain tour operators that they will hold things back, or special events they may be having. I know that we got something another time because we went to a special dinner somewhere and they had some held back. Let's have another taste of this. I just think it's fantastic. I'm going to look forward to kind of sipping on this evening. Yeah, it's good.
And I'll say this, if you're in the Bardstown area, if you can go to Preservation, I'd buy it.
Because they had quite a few on the shelf.
Yes.
Recently.
I would buy this. It's very good.
I agree with Wade. If you're in the Bardstown area, I would definitely stop in. And it's such a lovely distillery. And when the weather's nice, they have these longhorn steers. And we were there one time for an event where they had just all had babies. And I think it may have been the Mint Julep event.
It was.
And we went out there and we were seeing these little baby cows with these big I mean, they were just so cute and adorable. I mean, they are really a farm. They call it distillery and farm because they are a farm as well. And they're doing a lot of things, grain to glass. Obviously, they're going to keep having some of these vintage barrels, but those are starting to dry up.
They are.
Yeah, so.
And I know they've had supposedly some releases of what's believed to be Pappy in 375 bottles for about $1,000.
Yeah.
But if you're in the area, you have an opportunity, I would pick up a bottle of this. I really don't think you would regret it.
And we'll talk more about Preservation next week because they're going to be our distillery number 3 for our Bourbon Trail discussion. So we'll have a little more conversation about them next week. But for this week, the spotlight is on this amazing Bardstown Collection for 2024.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
So Preservation, you're doing a great job. This is an excellent, excellent bottle. So cheers to everyone out there. Please remember to drink responsibly.
Cheers.